Good morning, and thank you for attending today's press conference today. My name is Sid Wardell. I am the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and I'm honored to be your MC for this morning's event. I'd like to recognize the team here at Wild World of Indoor Sports of North Kingstown. Thank them for hosting today's event. It's fitting we stand here on their playing field and help us set the stage for teamwork and what it takes to put on highway safety plan together and execute it. We have with us today an exceptional team of speakers and true leaders in highway safety. Like Super Bowl teams, the efforts that go on behind the scene don't get enough credit. But I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Office of Highway Safety at DOT, led by Chief Alvedi, who is here, along with her team, Colonel Sullivan, Andy, Kelsey, Joe, Jim, and Jay. Thank you. They are truly the backbone of highway safety efforts here in Rhode Island. Unlike the teams playing on Sunday that are looking for a winner, which means someone must lose, we're looking for everyone to win this weekend. We don't want any losers. We want a fatality-free weekend. Heck, we actually want no arrests made for impaired driving or distracted driving, for that matter. That makes us all a winner. Seated behind me today are the leaders on the law enforcement front, who you'll meet in a couple of minutes. They comprise the executive board of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, along with our top leaders in government and highway safety. Right down to our leaders of organized high school sports in Rhode Island. I personally want to thank each of you for participating today. At this time, I'd like to introduce our newest team leader, the president of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, Chief Sean Corrigan of the Narragansett Police Department, to begin our speaking lineup. Chief.
Good morning. I'm Chief Sean Corrigan of the Narragansett Police Department, and it's truly my honor to be the president of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association this year. I'd like to introduce you to the rest of my executive board. To my left here, Chief Kevin Lynch will be our vice president of the Bristol Police Department. Colonel Michael Winquist of Cranston Police Department in the secretary position, and our sergeant at arms is Colonel Bradford Carter of Warwick Police. On behalf of the board and all Rhode Island police chiefs, I would like to welcome Governor McKee and all of our traffic safety partners here today, as we remind residents of the importance of impaired driving awareness. This coming weekend, family and friends will be gathering to watch the big game. And with that, there's going to be parties and there's going to be celebrations, and alcohol will be consumed. But this weekend is no different than any other weekend. The fact remains is that impaired driving kills. Every year, thousands of lives are lost due to drugs and alcohol, and these are preventable deaths. The Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association would like to remind the public that just like in football, defense wins. Have a plan. If you're going to be drinking, give up your keys, arrange for a ride, or use a ride-sharing service. And if you see it's someone else going to get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle after they've been drinking, do the right thing and intervene. These deaths are preventable. There are other steps that we can take in order to keep this weekend safe and every other weekend safe. Wear your seatbelt, don't text and drive, and don't look at your phone and drive. Rhode Island law enforcement will be out there doing everything that we can to try and eliminate these fatal motor vehicle accidents, but we can't do it alone. We need the public's cooperation, and we need increased awareness. Hopefully one day we'll have 0 fatalities. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. There will be an opportunity when we finish up for questioning. So please hold those questions till the end. Thanks, Chief. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Honorable Dan McKee, Governor of the State of Rhode Island, and a true partner to law enforcement and an advocate for the citizens of Rhode Island to help find ways to keep our roadways safe. Governor, thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. And it's great to be back here. We were here just a few weeks ago with Commerce announcing important economic news and policy, and it's great to be in an athletic facility like this. I I get to put my basketball sneakers on this weekend. I go out to see the Rhode Island Pirates, and I'm going to go up and down the court with them maybe once. but yeah, it's good to be here, and with our chiefs. As a former mayor, I certainly was introduced to the importance of our leadership at our local police departments and the importance that our chiefs have in terms of making sure that they're keeping our communities safe. So it's not a surprise to me that today we're gathering together as such a strong group behind me to deliver this very important message. So I want to first recognize Chief Corrigan, the new executive board, and the entire Police Chiefs Association. I really look forward to continue working with you on important issues of public safety. And I was proud to be a partner with you to sign body cam legislation in law last year, and I know that partnerships will continue in 2022. All these are very important projects, and public safety is one of the linchpins. If I had a tripod in a community, besides finances and education, public safety was part of that tripod, that three-legged stool, and you can't have good communities unless you have strength in all of those areas. So your leadership is so important to the state. I also want to recognize Director Alvedi, who certainly is a champion on road improvements and bridge improvements, but also people travel those roads, right? People travel those roads, and we want them to travel our roads safely. So, Director, thank you for you and your entire department's leadership on that, and then Colonel Manney, thank you for the state police. I've been learning a lot more about the state police as I have people that keep me safe every day, pick me up at my house, and making sure I get to places safely. So, Colonel, thank you for your leadership as well. And Executive Director Looney, thank you. We've been talking about making sure that our athletes are safe on the courts and on the fields and on the different activities, but also deliver a message to young people that you're just as responsible for your behavior as any of our adults, but our high school kids are really important there. We know, and families know, and as a mayor, we had to live through tragedies on the road because of alcohol. And so delivering messages from our youngest to our oldest in the state, no one's exempt from the responsibility that they have to make sure that they protect not only the family members that are in the car with them, but what about the family members that are driving down the road beside them and coming on oncoming traffic. So we're going to hear numbers today from the Rhode Island, from RIDOT and Rhode Island State Police, and I ask you to keep in mind that these are just numbers, as I just said. The families that drive in the cars, whether they're in your car or in the cars that are on the roads that you share, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we protect the safety and the lives that get cut short by someone made the wrong and deadly decision to get behind the wheel impaired. We deserve to be able to be in our cars every day and know that we're safe, going to work, to school, run errands, go to practice, be out there socializing and having fun with your friends and your neighbors during this weekend, Valentine's Day, as well as the Super Bowl, are just examples of when we go out and we interact with our friends, but do it responsibly. So I know that I take precautions necessary to make sure that happens in my family. I wear my seatbelt, I drive safely, I don't drive impaired or distracted. But we know the reality is that just one person makes the wrong decision. One person makes the wrong decision to drive impaired or distracted or irresponsibly, then that can still have an impact on us. And it can have long impacts as they add this ripple effect for generations on communities. And we've all been in a situation where family members or friends have been, their lives have been impacted in a very serious way because of behavior that can be, it's preventable. So it's about making good decisions, and it's setting a good example. And Rhode Island needs to be that state that leads. I think we could all use this upcoming weekend to relax, to watch the Super Bowl, to enjoy dinner out at night with our Valentine. I'll be out tonight with my wife Susan. Her birthday's today, and celebrating Valentine's Day at one of our local restaurants. And we encourage you to do that. We want you out and about. We want you to make sure that you're enjoying the opportunities that have been brought forward just in the last couple of years, and the position where we are the most vaccinated state in the country. We are one of the lowest infected rates in the country. We have the strongest reopening of the economy in the Northeast right now. We want to, so why not be the very best in terms of protecting the people on the roads? Rhode Island can be that state that does just that. So please do it safely this weekend and every weekend. And that is where our police and our highway safety officials come in. Thank you for your efforts to get impaired drivers off the roads and keep Rhode Islanders safe. Thank you, local police officers and the public safety in your communities for their leadership, and follow their lead. So let's continue to work together so that one day we can get up here and say that there have been 0 deaths on Rhode Island roads. It's all up to us to get us there. So thank you, and I'll give it back to Sid. The microphone's yours. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Peter Alvedi, Director of the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Director Alvedi continues not just to be the team captain at DOT, but also the spokesperson who is always willing to participate in events like today. He doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk, putting himself out there on Thursday morning with Gene to be held accountable to the public, but also to advocate for the work his team is doing as we strive to 0 fatalities on our roadways. Director.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming and helping us amplify this really important message to the people here. The governor really hit it on the head. This is as much a numbers thing, an enforcement thing, as it is a people thing. It's a cultural thing that we need to correct here in Rhode Island. As an example to how culture influences safety, during the last blizzard that we had here, I had to be out on the road, and I encountered 3 young people in a car stuck in an exit ramp. And I stopped to talk to them and help them, and asked them what they were doing out in that weather. And when there was a ban on travel, I said they just felt like it. They felt like it. Well, there they were, putting other people's lives in danger who were trying to travel along that roadway, and because they felt like it. And likewise, coming up this Sunday, we have an event that's one of the most dangerous, as much as it's enjoyable on the roads. The colonel will tell you when he gets up here, it's one of the most dangerous things, one of the most dangerous times to be on the roadway, because people just feel like drinking, and then they feel like getting behind the wheel of a car and driving it. Well, that is irresponsible. And it's not just putting their own lives, as the governor said, in jeopardy, but it's putting everybody else that's on that highway's life in jeopardy, your friends, your family. And every year, although the general public is becoming more and more aware of this issue through our efforts and others' efforts to get the word out that this is just becoming a problem that is of epidemic proportions, we still continue to have many deaths attributed here in Rhode Island to drunk driving. In 2019, we recorded 48 crashes on Super Bowl Sunday. Last year, that number was 116. That's a 200% increase, more than a 200% increase in 1 year in the number of crashes during that day. So the day brings about it as much enjoyment as it brings out tragedies as well. And our department is tracking these crashes, and historically, we're finding that almost half, 44% of all fatalities on our highways have to do with drunk driving. It's almost half of the people dying in accidents on our highway are dying because somebody got behind the wheel drunk. It's that simple. Well, at Rhode, we started a 10-year plan. At the governor's direction and in keeping with our 10-year planning process, Gaby and her group have started a 10-year plan that hopefully will get us to reduce this number with a goal eventually to zero, as unrealistic as that may seem, but it's a goal. And to date, we've worked with the state police. We have worked with them and partnered with them in the creation of a traffic safety unit that deals 100% with taking impaired drivers off the road, and they're doing a great job at that. We've trained law enforcement officers in standard field sobriety training, and we've partnered with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League to bring our sober driving message to young people and young athletes. Our latest strategy is an Impaired Driving Engagement Council that I know Chief Martin is going to talk to you about today. And in the past 2 years, we've provided resources and tools to law enforcement to arrest impaired drivers, motor vehicles, impaired driving testing units, and we provided funding to the state police to create the traffic safety unit. That is the first full-time dedicated task force to patrol specifically for the purpose of taking drunk drivers off the road or impaired drivers off the road. To date, since its creation, they've arrested more than 1,200 people, charging more than 620 of them with impaired driving, and issued more than 8,700 citations with over $1 million in fines. Last year, we purchased 9 patrol cars for Burrillville, Cranston, Central Falls, North Kingston, Portsmouth, South Kingston, Warwick, Westerly, and Woonsocket for their police departments to be dedicated, as the state police are, to the task of taking people who are impaired off the roads. So the message is everyone here that's here is doing their jobs in this effort to reduce and eliminate the number of people that are being killed needlessly every year by drunk drivers. They're doing their jobs, the people in the traffic safety unit, the state police, the local chiefs and departments, and organizations like the Interscholastic League. They're all doing their job to try and change this culture so that people don't get behind the wheel drunk. But it's still happening. And when we talk about teamwork, when you hear the governor and Sid talk about this being a team effort, the most important player on this team are the people out there listening to this. You all need to do your part on this team now. You need to take the keys away from people that you see getting behind the wheel. You need to get them a ride. You need to get them help, but you need to keep people from getting behind the wheel drunk. If you're not going to do it yourself, we need everyone out there to be a team member on this effort and keep other people from killing people needlessly in the state. It's time for you now, you all, to do your share. And it's time, I think, as a team to bring this state and the quality of life, as the governor referred to it, up to a standard where we don't have to face the tragedies of long-term illnesses resulting from needless crashes or in the death of a family member or a friend. So we're calling on all of you out there to do your part on this team on Sunday for a win. Thanks.
Thank you, Director. Next, I would like to introduce Colonel James Manney, Superintendent of the Rhode Island State Police and Director of the Rhode Island Department of Public Safety. Colonel Manney retired from the Rhode Island State Police in 2015 after serving for 25 years. Colonel Manney was then brought back in 2018 to run the Rhode Island State Police. Colonel Manney is another one of our leaders in the state that is actively promoting highway safety and finding innovative ways to not just enforce, but educate our driving population of the dangers of driving impaired, distracted, and speeding, which are a recipe for disaster. Colonel Manney. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Wardell. Thank you, Governor, for attending today. Governor, I'd also like to thank you publicly for the funding and the resources you have given the Rhode Island State Police to keep this state safe. You've given us a class of 50 troopers, which will enter on March 14th of this year, which is the largest class we will ever put on, and I promise you that they will be put to good use. I'd also like to thank the Police Chiefs Association. They are always in the forefront of these type of events. I'm a proud member of this team of professionals who are keeping every corner of the state safe. When I took over as superintendent 3 years ago, traffic enforcement and DUI were two of my top priorities. In November of 2019, in a partnership with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, we formed the Traffic Safety Unit. We could not have formed that unit without the funding, the federal funding that the director and Gaby got for us. We now have 7 troopers in that unit. We did some research. We are the only state police agency that has a unit funded in that way that is strictly traffic enforcement. The director, Alvedi, gave some statistics, and let's talk about those. Since the inception of that unit, there have been 1,200 arrests, 620 with DUIs alone, not counting what the other troopers are doing, 8,800 summonses. That's just that unit. When this class graduates, once again, working with the DOT, I plan to double the size of that unit so that we get 24-hour coverage 7 days a week by the Traffic Safety Unit, on top of the complement of dozens of troopers working every day. In 2017 to present, 42 emergency vehicles were struck on our highways while they were stationary. 31 of those were state police vehicles. That number alarms me, because that number is way up. And it's not just Rhode Island. It's all across New England. I've talked to the other New England colonels. They're finding the same thing. In the past 3 years, there have been 186 fatalities on our highway. The Rhode Island State Police have investigated 57 of those. Many of these fatals were due to impaired driving, which meant they were all preventable. But there is a story that these statistics do not tell: the impact on the families of the victims. I cannot even describe to you what it is like to show up in the middle of the night to a victim's home and speak to their family and break the news. The look on their faces when they see 2 state troopers show up is something you never forget. And every trooper on my job, including me, have done it repeatedly. If anyone could see that raw pain with these tragic losses, they would never get behind the wheel while impaired. Historically, Super Bowl weekend is a time of increased celebration and partying. But let this be a warning. Our resolve to rid impaired driving on our highways is as strong as it's ever been. We will be out in force this weekend. If you decide to get behind the wheel, impaired, we will be waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing the newest member of our team here at the Rhode Island Police Chief Association, Chief Arthur Martins. Chief Martins, now retired, was previously a longtime police officer in Pawtucket, then became deputy chief and eventually chief in North Providence. Chief Martins has been brought on board to coordinate one of our newest initiatives, which we refer to as the Impaired Driving Engagement Council. I will ask now Chief Martins to please explain this new initiative.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. So Rhode Island has been identified as a mid-range state that has a high percentage of its driving fatalities related to motor vehicle operators who are driving impaired. A mid-range state is identified by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as one in which the impaired driving fatality rate is between 30% and 60%. In 2018, the percentage of Rhode Island fatalities was 38%. The rest of the nation was 29%. In 2019, the percentage of Rhode Island fatalities was 44%, as Director Alvedi had mentioned earlier, and the rest of the country was at 28%. We are trending in the wrong direction, and the rest of the United States is trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, the data for 2020 and 2021 has not been finalized yet, so I don't have that information for you. There is no clearer evidence that drivers who are impaired due to alcohol or drugs not only put their own lives in danger, but they also jeopardize the lives of their passengers, other motorists, pedestrians, bicyclists, and other users of our roadways. Impaired drivers diminish reaction times and propensity for engaging in risky, hazardous, reckless, careless, or irresponsible driving behaviors has been well documented. As a result of Rhode Island being identified as a mid-range state, an Impaired Driving Engagement Council has been created in collaboration with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to address this issue. This initiative is being funded by the Rhode Island Department of Transportation and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The purpose and goals of the Council will be to reduce the incidence of impaired driving through deterrence, prevention, communication, education, and treatment. Highly visible and targeted enforcement efforts will remain a high priority, but the problem cannot be resolved by arrests alone. Prevention, education, and deterrent programs will promote activities that inform the public on the effects of alcohol and other drugs and how it affects their driving, and preventing those impaired by alcohol and drugs from driving. These efforts will primarily be delivered to the community through social media, public service announcements, press events, and presentations to various groups and organizations. Through a collaborative effort amongst invested stakeholders, we hope to decrease the number of impaired driving deaths in Rhode Island, as well as the risk of injury and the resulting medical, legal, and other associated costs. The stakeholders and council members will include subject matter experts and representatives from the following groups, organizations, or agencies. We'll have representation from law enforcement, both state police and municipal agencies. Representation from prosecutors, court personnel, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, the Rhode Island Department of Health, the Rhode Island Crime Lab, drug and alcohol abuse-related representatives, youth-driven organizations, medical professionals, prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation providers, education officials, and student groups, the insurance industry, alcohol and hospitality industries, citizen activist groups such as Mothers Against Drunk Driving, representatives from AAA, and members of the faith-based organizations. Additional representation from other groups and organizations will be considered as we progress through our mission. We wish to promote and encourage businesses, governmental agencies, and private organizations to participate in this endeavor. Through a multifaceted approach, the crucial messaging will reach many ears. Many times, impaired driving tragedies occur at times when we are celebrating, joining with friends and family, or attending a joyous occasion. Some of these may include New Year's, Super Bowl parties like this weekend, spring break, graduations, proms, July 4th holiday, Thanksgiving, homecoming games, Christmas, and many other events. Therefore, an emphasis will be placed on essential messaging being delivered at these notable times. Impaired driving deaths and injuries are 100% preventable. Please think before you drive. The message is simple. If you do decide to consume alcoholic beverages, please make a responsible decision and do not drive afterwards or find someone to bring you home. Additionally, we want to emphasize the importance of safe driving habits. Please wear your seatbelts, obey speed limits, put down your cell phone and avoid distractions. Safely operating a vehicle requires a driver's full attention. Teamwork has been today's theme. Assembled behind me is a great team of men and women representing our law enforcement agencies. Make no mistake, they will be out in force this weekend, as Colonel Manney said, and if individuals do decide to drink and drive and endanger other people's lives, they will be arrested and held accountable. We are merely messengers. The team includes everyone in the state of Rhode Island who drives on and uses our roads. Through concerted effort and determined effort, poor driving decisions and bad driving behavior can change, but it will take all of us. Thank you, and please have a safe weekend.
Thank you, Chief. Lastly, I'd like to introduce a longtime friend to me personally, but also a strong advocate for highway safety with some of our most vulnerable and impressionable members of our driving public, our high school kids. His name is Mike Lunny. Mike is the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, where he not only oversees all aspects of high school sports, but also partners with the Office of Highway Safety and the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association in bringing the message that driving impaired or distracted is unacceptable, that good choices and preset game plans aren't just for the playing field, but also for life in general, and more specifically, this weekend, going into the big game. Mike, if we could share some words.
Thanks, Sid. Always great to see you. And good morning, everyone. It's certainly an honor to be here on behalf of the League, the Principals Committee on Athletics, and all of our member high schools. I want to first acknowledge Governor McKee, Colonel Manney, all the Rhode Island Police Chiefs and Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and all the men and women of our law enforcement that keep us safe every day. We appreciate your efforts. I want to also acknowledge Director Alvedi, Alvedi, and staff from Rhode. We are very proud of their outstanding work, and we are even more proud to be a partner with Rhode in our collective mission to make our roads safer and achieve zero fatalities. Since 2018, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation has been the official traffic safety partner of the RIAL. And since launching the campaign entitled Traffic Safety is a Team Sport, we have developed a sports marketing program that promotes safe driving behavior in our far-reaching RIAL community. Through our social media platforms, PSAs, and signage at our many championship events, our messaging campaign targets young drivers, which of course includes the more than 36,000 student athletes that take part in education-based high school athletic programs all across our great state. This campaign also reaches thousands of families, coaches, school administrators, officials, and fans in every one of our 39 cities and towns. We focus our education programs and multimedia marketing with the goal of influencing behavior and calling attention to the following identified problem areas. Distracted driving. According to the Rhode Island Highway Safety Plan, it is estimated that distracted driving related crashes are severely underreported, and the use of cell phones continues to be a growing issue both in Rhode Island and nationally. Occupant protection. A lack of restraint use continues to be a significant contributing factor in Rhode Island's crash fatalities and serious injuries. Impaired driving. Rhode Island has experienced a higher proportion of impaired driving fatalities than the national average over the past decade. And young drivers, which is the area that we work most closely with. Unfortunately, crash statistics in Rhode Island have shown that young drivers are overrepresented in serious injury and fatal crashes. More specifically, young driver fatalities on average have represented 10% of all roadway fatalities in Rhode Island. So we believe it's imperative that increased education efforts are needed to promote safe driving habits for young drivers. Super Bowl weekend marks the beginning of an exciting time in the world of sports, with parties for the big game, our RIL Winter Championships that will be coming up shortly, and March Madness festivities. As we gather to enjoy all of these great events, let's be reminded to celebrate responsibly, to drive carefully, to protect each other, and keep Rhode Island's roadways safe. And remember, traffic safety is a team sport. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. As you can see, it truly takes a team effort to bring our message to the driving public. It's the diversity of our stakeholders, like Chief Martin said, that help us spread our word. Whether it's Director Lunny with the high school children or Director Alvedi with Jean, we will continue to advocate and strive for 0 fatalities. We have so many of our stakeholders in the audience today, and I want to thank you specifically for being here. It's your efforts behind the scenes, partnering with us, that'll get us to that 0 fatalities.